Hi students, in this video I want to explain about the nuclear fission and the virtual lab we're using, to introduce this topic. So we have first here a nucleus of uranium 235. So if we fire, one neutron against this nucleus, we can see how the nucleus is capturing the neutron, becomes unstable. There is an increase in the energy, and then eventually the nuclear fission is going to occur. So the nucleus just break down in two parts, right? And this is basically what is the nuclear fission, and this is going to generate an amount of energy. We have also here one option that is called chain reaction. So basically in chain reaction, uh, we're going to have, for example, several nuclei of uranium-235. You can just control how many nuclei of uranium-235 you want to have, right? For example, here I have 26 nuclei of uranium. I will put I'm not going to use a vessel now, so this is just open space, right? I don't have any uranium-238 here. So I will fire one neutron to see what happens. Let me increase a little bit the number of nucleus. Okay, so I fire here, and you see how uh, when the fission occurs, some neutrons that are released collide with other nucleus of uranium-235. So this is what we call the chain reaction. So if I increase the number of nucleus of uranium, and I fire one neutron here, then we're going to see how occur the fission of more, the nuclear fission of more nucleus, right? As more neutrons are released, right, and more chance that those neutrons collide with the nucleus of uranium-235 occur in the nuclear fission. So suppose now, so you can just quantify here how many nuclei of uranium-235 you still have remaining. So you have only two. We had it at the beginning, I don't know, maybe 40. And you can find here what percentage of uranium nuclei were fissioned. So 95%, almost 96% of all the uranium nuclei we have there, 235, were fissioned. You can reset here. You can change the number of nuclei. You can just put this in a vessel, you know. So I will now fire, for example, my neutron, and then you see how occur the chain reaction. Okay, so in this case, just 50% of the uranium nuclei, uranium-235 nuclei were fissioned. So we had, at the end, we have just 10 nuclei only. I can reset these here. I have at the beginning 20 nuclei. I can just do again. Not always is going to occur the reaction the same way, all depends, how are just moving the neutrons. So in this case, I got 95% of uranium-235 nuclear fission. What happens if instead of, all these uranium-235 nuclei, I have just, let me say, 5 nuclei of uranium-235, and I'm going to have then 25 of uranium-238, so 24. So when I fire, my neutron, uh, in this case, the chain reaction was not extensive. So let me do again. What happened, look at this part, is that when a neutron is released during the fission, of a nucleus of uranium-235, if that neutron is captured by the uranium-238, that becomes uranium-239. So the fission doesn't occur with the uranium-238, right? It's just capturing, the neutron, and that's it. It's stable, so nothing occurs after that. And finally, we have what is a nuclear reactor. So I will reset these. So in this nuclear reactor, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different containers, right? So we have these bars. These bars are basically in a real nuclear reactor graphite bars, right? And we can just move the bars out or into the reactor. Uh, we have here to measure the power output and the energy that is produced. So energy produced in joules, the power output, in joules per seconds. So when I just have the bars, the graphite bars all the way into the reactor, so we have here basically six different containers, six isolated containers, right? So when I fire a neutron here, uh, the amount of energy that we can produce is a very low amount of energy. I can fire another neutron. As you can see again, the energy produced was very low. I can fire another neutron. Again, the power output and energy produced was very low. I will reset these. I will move my graphite bars a little bit. I'm going to fire the neutrons. And then there is a very chance, that occurs an extensive chain reaction, So you can see how now we have an increase in the amount of energy that is produced, you know, because there are more collisions between the neutrons and the uranium-235. So we can see, all the amount of energy we are producing, in this case in the reactor, how most of the nuclei are fissioned, you know. Eventually, this reaction is going to stop, of course, when most of the nuclei just were fissioned. So in this case, we have produced more energy. I will reset, I will move the bars all the way out, right? And then I will fire neutrons. And then now it should be there a higher chance, that occur the chain reaction. So we see how most of the nuclei are going to be fissioned. We can see, how high is the power output and the energy that we are producing. So basically, most of the nuclei are going to be fission. This principle of controlling the nuclear reaction with the graphite bars, is basically the mechanism that is using the real nuclear reactors, to control the reaction. In this lab, I ask you to read a couple of papers, and I ask you to make a quick research about what happened in Chernobyl, the accident of the nuclear plant of Chernobyl. That was basically an accident that occurred because they had a problem with the graphite bars. So they were trying just to see, what happens when you have a reactor out of control. But was an experiment, and basically what happened was that the experiment really went out of control totally, and they were unable to control with the graphite bars later the reaction, and that was why, due to the great amount of energy that was produced in the reactor basically fused, and there was all that terrible accident. So I ask you in this lab to review that part and to read about and make some comments. So okay, so I hope this video is gonna be useful for you, and you're gonna then be able to do this lab successfully. Thank you.